Some people are looking at this like a soapbox derby, and the term leverage, right? Linking together, is this the way we're going to play now on? Linking together massive bills to get your way? When lawmakers for decades have said we need to do a standalone fix of roads and bridges. So this just feels like complete lunacy.
Well, Liz, this is precisely what I predicted when the infrastructure bill came to the floor. You remember I'm the one that held it up. I didn't want Nancy Pelosi to have the type of leverage that she's going to exercise. She's going to use this infrastructure bill. She's going to hold it hostage. She's going to link the two together. And this is the plan that, again, Bernie Sanders just laid out their strategy. I've been worried about this all along. And I think what we're seeing is precisely what I'd warned about, that they're going to use the so-called bipartisan infrastructure bill, which actually had 23%, I believe, of actual hard infrastructure in it. She's going to link that to the much larger, quote, social infrastructure bill. This is the complete socialist debt bomb that Bernie Sanders wants to unleash on the American economy. They want them linked. They want that leverage because they want to force their more moderate members to vote for it. They're going to have a very hard time getting this done.
And now we've got the Democrats' magical claim that their $5.5 trillion in new spending over 10 years will cost zero. That's, again, the equivalent of putting Italy and France on the American people over the next 10 years. If that's the case, then why raise taxes on the middle class and blue-collar workers? Why get the IRS to snoop into everyone's bank accounts if it only costs zero? Watch the White House press secretary on this. Watch.
I know none of us are mathematicians, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But yes, of the investments that were proposed, including tax cuts and the pay-fors, including making the tax system more fair, zero.
Come on.
This is ridiculous.
Show the president's poll numbers. Half the country disapprove of the president right now. I mean, there's a growing number of polls, and she admits that only people who don't know math get hired at the White House. This is the largest tax increase ever. That would pay, those taxes would pay just for about $2 trillion of the $6 trillion spend, which is the largest ever. Americans face the highest inflation since 1981. The credibility is going down here.
I think it's plummeting. You're seeing it in the polls, just as you say, Liz, and you mentioned this too. It's inflation. This is the most pernicious tax of all. If you look at what's happened to real wages in America, net of inflation since the Biden administration has taken over, if you annualize it, real wages are down 4% since January of this year. This is hitting every American. If you think about the inflation that they're going to induce by adding another $5 or $6 trillion of stimulus spending in the economy, adding another several $1 trillion of taxes, those taxes are going to go somewhere. It's going to go right into the price of everything that we buy and we purchase. This is inherently inflationary. And again, this is the most broad-based tax that hits retired people, low and middle income workers, the absolute hardest. This is where the Biden administration's policy is taking us.
You know, MSNBC and other anchors at other networks say, you know, this is about child care, free pre-K, climate change, right? But they're not drilling into the details. We're seeing things like expanding the child care credit for people who are not even family members. We're seeing things like, you know, free electric cars for government workers, on and on and on. And it's getting swampier out there. We've got watchdog groups saying 2,000 companies and lobbyists spent nearly $500 million lobbying just on infrastructure alone. That was just in the first half of the year. Yeah. Now you got the social spend coming in. More money is flowing now into D.C. than ever before in terms of lobbying. Your word on that?
Well, it's part and parcel of what's happening here, because in the process of fundamentally transforming the economy, as Bernie Sanders likes to say, there are going to be a lot of new interests that come into play. They're going to destroy the fossil fuel industry, for example. They've slipped an amnesty portion into this thing. There's so many things that everybody in Washington is here trying to tack onto this bill. Again, this is why it's become so unmanageable. This is why we're seeing it fall apart right now.
We're seeing Reuters, Quinnipiac, Politico polling, Fox News, Emerson, Monmouth, Gallup. Half the country disapproves of the president right now. Indeed. Senator, this is the most rapid drop in a president's approval ratings in about a century. That's according to George Will. Your final word.
Well-deserved. Look at the disaster in Afghanistan that they precipitated. Look at the disaster on our southern border. I'll come back to inflation. That's killing the economy here in America. It's hurting every individual here. And if you look at what they're trying to accomplish with this transformation of our economy, it's terrible.
Senator Bill Hagerty, thanks so much for joining us. It's good to see you. Later this hour, we're going to give you a hearing.